right. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to episode 3, GQZ. Host of Vancouver. That's the channel. If you're bored, have a look. It's my co-host over here today, Lip, and my brother from another mother, the one and only Jonas DC.
I don't know what I'm doing with my hands.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having us on. And we got a special guest engineer. Our engineer couldn't make it today.
Yeah.
But we got Bon on the ones and twos.
Ones and twos.
He's on the ones and twos. He's our DJ today. First, I should start off by saying that me and Jones got, well, we don't have the flu, but we're both sick.
Yeah.
So for horking and coughing and all that, fuck it. You know, we just gotta roll with it. We're doing this. That's how passionate about how, about us doing this thing is that we want to do it sicker, for better or worse, sickness and health. Till death.
Like a marriage.
It's like a marriage.
Like a marriage.
Got really messed up. Marriage with no sex. Well, that's basically what marriage is anyway.
No, that's what a podcast is.
Have fun there.
You
Yeah.
don't even have time for sex,
Unless
man.
we
You forget
incorporate
what
that in the
is.
podcast that we have
So
sex
take,
on camera.
the
or something.
baby's crying. Done. There it goes.
All right, so today's topics, we got a list of topics, but we're gonna keep it more casual today. We ain't gonna
Casual,
Yeah,
try and
man.
keep our composure.
Yeah.
And
We got a
man.
pizza on the way, so you have to.
It's literally Thursday. You know what I mean? And we're drinking.
This is the last
That's
weekend.
happening. I
the
got
last
work.
weekend before Christmas,
This
and I'm
is
gonna be
true.
taking off for the Philippines, so I won't see you guys for a
Oh,
month.
snap. Oh, what?
Bring me back some sand, bro.
Anyways, did you guys see the fight this Saturday? I was supposed to watch it with Zamrano, but he told me that I wasn't Asian enough to be in Richmond.
Oh, dude. First of all, man, the UFC is it's getting big. It is now on Fox Sports. First of all,
It's taking leaps.
it is-
Quantum
it-
leaps as far
from
as
where
the
it began.
industry and show business.
oh,
And
one,
to think that it was almost done. Like, it
Oh.
almost didn't even happen, man. Because these two guys, the
the Frittatas.
Furtado brothers.
Thank you guys, man. It's yeah. You
They
guys
had-
are awesome.
They had dumped so much money into it, and they just weren't seeing the revenues coming in. They were ready to scrap it. And that's when they started talking with Dana White.
I don't smoke. That's why.
And yeah, they kept it afloat with some funds,
Yeah.
and they kept it going, even though they weren't generating, the income and the viewers. And they kept it going, and before you know it, they had they did.
Oh, that Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate
Oh my
Fighter,
God.
the TV show,
Yeah.
and they lined up a fight between Franklin and Bonner.
Yeah.
And that essentially was the moment where the UFC took off, because you pretty much got a contract if you won the show. And at the end of that fight, because it was so nuts, they gave both the winner and the loser of that season contracts to fight in the UFC. And then from there, man, the rest is history. Now you got Fox up in the game. They've bought the rights. They're trying to spew it out like NFL Monday nights.
Oh, yeah.
On
Yeah,
Sunday
for
night
sure.
NFL like that.
Yeah.
Before
Well, any
you-
sport wants to grow big, right?
yeah,
For
and
sure.
Before they were having one fight a month, and now they're like what?
Every
3,
week,
4?
every 2 or 3 days. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. There's fights happening a lot, and they just opened the window legitly to the women in the industry
Oh,
of the UFC.
Ronda Rousey is huge.
Oh, I saw that fight. That fight was
brutal.
I knew what was gonna happen.
Oh.
But midway through the first
It was
round,
brutal.
I was like, someone's gonna go down. But as the second round started, I knew she was gonna go down in the second.
Well, man, okay,
And I
so
don't even watch UFC. I don't even know statistics or people.
Okay.
I've heard the name, but I was just like,
so weeks before the fight, Ronda Rousey's mom goes, Ronda Rousey's coach is a son of a bitch. Like, this guy is not a good guy. I do not like him. I don't trust him. He's a bad guy. And
Her
so
mom said that?
Ronda Rousey's own mother. And Ronda Rousey has great regard for the mom. If you don't know the mom, Ronda Rousey's mom is a judo girl. She was the one that introduced Ronda Rousey to judo, man. She's a judoka. So her opinion is what matters, man. And so now, I mean, I don't know if that really had sort of an effect to, her mood or her tactics
Mindset.
during the fight. But, I mean, that would definitely mess me up. That's like saying your close confidant going, hey, I don't like who's training you.
Yeah. Right before a fight, that'll definitely fuck with your
your whole
zen, man.
zen for sure. Because you want to go in there and you think you're the best in the world. And by the way, Holly Holm is no joke. No well, the equivalent of the women's, I think WBC. She is like the Floyd Mayweather of the boxing game, bro. She won multiple championships in multiple divisions. So she knows how to box. She knows her shit. To add to that, she trains with the probably two best coaches in MMA today, which is Winklejohn and that guy from. They train John Jones, and we all know who John Jones is.
I don't know who John Jones is.
John Bones, man, the guy. If you didn't know John Jones, let me get into this.
Tell the fans.
If you didn't know about John Jones for his UFC career, as far as demolishing opponents, you might have heard his little fiasco with a rental car, crashing his rental car, fleeing the scene. And there were drugs in the vehicle.
Yeah. He went a little.
I don't know who John Jones is, but it definitely sounds like someone I do.
Okay,
know.
so John Jones is this beast of a fighter. Like, they are tacticians. That was their thing. Tactics. They had a game plan for literally every fighter. Hence why John Jones went undefeated for the last X amount of years. The only way, by the way, John Jones lost his title was because of that shit that he pulled. You cannot be a champion if you run someone over and flee the scene.
It's like the Mike Tyson thing. You can't be champion if you're convicted allegedly of.
Or
just think though. Put yourself in his shoes though, man. He's just like, what else do you do in that situation?
Panic.
It's so bad.
He must have panicked.
It's such a bad situation. Yeah. He didn't know what else to do but run, man. Run, Forrest, run. That guy didn't know where the end was. He was just fucking going, man. Drugs, rental car, hit a person, and then to top it off, he ran.
It's the pressure.
You gotta put on. You gotta in that situation. You just gotta pull on R. Kelly and be like, "Wasn't me."
That's when you call your buddy and be like, "I need you here right now. You're gonna sit in this car and say it was you."
Yeah, it's like
no,
I was with him
Daddy.
the entire
That's
night.
R. Kelly straight up is like, you have to have the video on his face like, "That's not me." Sounds like him. He's like, "That's not me." So in that situation,
he probably saying that shit like, "That's
you
not
either gotta
me."
P Diddy it or you gotta Diddy it or Kelly it. Just denial all the time.
Or OJ, bro. Just
Bro, if the glove doesn't fit, if the UFC gloves don't fit, you gotta quit.
You gotta quit.
Fucking tie wraps don't fit. They don't. Yeah.
So
but no, the
John
weekend
Jones.
was nuts. The sneak.
What did you guys think about that fight? Like I said earlier, I didn't get a chance to watch it. But
Connor.
Let's put it this way: it wasn't much of a fight, man.
I heard
13 seconds is all it took.
Okay, so again, let me paint a photo. Aldo, reigning champ, and this guy took care of him in 13 seconds.
And he called it too.
He called exactly what he was gonna do.
If you watch the press conference afterwards, there's a reporter who asked him a question. Well, not so much asked him a question, but he does. He says, "How did you know?" And then he goes to quote Conor McGregor days before the fight, and he pretty much says, "I was waiting for him to load up the right and come at me, and I was gonna hit him with the left." Like, that's exactly what happened, and he called it several days before it happened.
He's been talking shit for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's
on
true.
that note,
you did bring up earlier that he does back it up, but again, I don't know this shit, but I can just speak for shit talkers because I am one of them.
Yeah.
So.
If you can back it up though, man, you go, man. You do it, man.
No doubt.
There were other fights there though, man. Did you guys see the Damian Maya?
Oh yes.
Oh my. Okay,
looking good, old
so
man.
Damian Maya,
40?
38 years old, but this guy is world class jiu-jitsu, and this guy represented for the sport of jiu-jitsu, 100%. And I don't know, I'm gonna plug it out there, but I train in jiu-jitsu. I train out in shout out to East Van BJJ.
Shit, that could be our That could be our pizza. A little bit sooner than anticipated, but hello.
Keep it going.
Okay, yeah. I'm coming outside right now. A little. All right, guys. No, keep it going. Keep going. Touch on your. Yeah.
Shout out to you, BJ.
East Van Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You guys are my second home, man. That's where I'm at most days of my life.
Where's the invite? Where's the invite?
You've been there, bro. You've been there.
No. For the people,
Oh,
for the viewers that are locals.
Oh yeah, locals,
Vancouver.
guys. I am really shoddy with the address, but if you know Vancouver very well, if you know Kingsway, and everyone from East Van knows where Kingsway is at, and everyone knows from East Van where Purdy's Chocolates is at on Kingsway, and you know how there's that kind of park right by Purdy's Chocolates.
That's a great description, man.
It's literally right across the street.
They could also just Google the place.
Or East Van BJJ or evbjj.com.
There you go. Check it out
East
if that's your
Van
thing.
BJ. Anyway, this guy, man, I'm sure my teammates were going nuts when this guy was fighting because he just outclassed another jiu-jitsu guy. Gunnar Nelson, another no joke in jiu-jitsu. He's tapped out so many guys, and this guy's young, 20 whatever, 7 or whatever. And Damien Maya's
Up and
old,
comer.
man.
He was an up and comer. He was beating guys out quick, dirty,
until he ran into.
He was sending a message for sure.
Until he ran into the Damien Maya.
Damien Maya was a good fight for this guy. If he would have pulled it off, I would have put him in, higher up in the ranks.
What I love about Damien is he goes, I set up my punches to use my jiu-jitsu. He goes, because I want my opponent to train the next day. He doesn't want to harm him. He wants to use jiu-jitsu in a way to, it's a gentle art. They call it the gentle art.
Wow.
For those of you who don't know, jiu-jitsu is probably the best. No, it's not probably. It's the best martial art in the world, as proven by Royce Gracie. Shout out to Royce Gracie, champion of UFC 1 and UFC 3. So, like I said, combat sports, hand-to-hand combat. If you want to be a badass, you do jiu-jitsu. Because this guy, back in the 90s, back when there were, black belt in Aikido, Karate, fucking sumo wrestlers, this little Brazilian that no one, who looked like who looked like lip, unassuming, versus guys who looked like they were injecting steroids directly into their buttocks. And he would tap them out. He would tap out dudes who were huge.
I know you wanna leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
That Luke Rockhold fight, though. Oh my God!
Let's make space for this.
He worked Weidman. Just
okay, so first of all,
destroyed him.
Weidman was winning until he threw the wheel kick.
Fuck, man. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and his cousin, who's 29, died of influenza.
What's influenza?
It's the flu, man. It's a virus. In 2 fucking days, man.
In 2 days?
In 2 fucking days. He got influenza and died. 29 years old, man.
That is so messed, man.
Like, he just got sick, man. He was in the hospital for 2 days and died.
You said the good things about the UFC, so
I mean, it's for those people who are interested in that stuff, and the fights that have happened, the last weekend, that introduced a lot of people, even casual viewers, to UFC, man, because of this dude Conor McGregor, and it just so happens that every single fight in that main card lived up to the hype. That UFC 194 was probably the best card of the year.
Yeah.
Two title fights.
One of the biggest, bestest fights of the UFC
year.
history, man.
History. Biggest gate. 10.1 million.
Yeah.
This guy is going to be a millionaire.
And he calls it. He's like, I'm making the money, man.
Yeah, he's
like I'm making the UFC money.
UFC, the biggest 2 fights this year was because of this guy. Of course he's going to be raking it in.
Are you we're going, right?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on, I didn't get the intro back. Okay. All right, guys, we're back. We had a pizza break because we're all starving. Half of us are sick. 2 out of the 4 are sick, and we needed to get some food in us. So we're sorry if this looks choppy, but yeah, we'll definitely there'll be more UFC fights to come, and we'll definitely chime in on that.
Heck yeah.
But
you need to start watching. That's the thing.
I will when I get time, man. I barely have time to watch the
movie. If you want to watch something dope, Embedded, have a look at the Embedded
it's good to pump
series.
Anyway,
yep.
Yeah.
Pre-fight pump-ups.
Yeah.
Any documentaries?
That's kind of like a documentary.
Yeah. It's a documentary series.
There's a lot of crazy ones out there, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy, I watched something called Merchants of Doubt. If you're interested in, I guess safe to say conspiracies to some extent, or anyways, but or social films, check out Merchants of Doubt by Robert Kerner. Very good watch. It's pretty much a documentary that talks about the effects of like corporations pretty much paying large sums of money for scientific, experts to spread disinformation. So pretty much like instilling doubt in the common public. How crazy is that?
Well, I mean, those. Speaking of conspiracies, because like a lot of people that know me know I'm not a conspiracy nut.
You didn't do it.
I am a theorist, and I'm on board with most of the things that I hear.
I love it.
Online, on the internet mostly, and just through word of mouth in general.
Yeah.
So that to me sounds like general tactics of your basic manipulation of the public, right? Because the people in charge always have say, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not. They always have say. And we think we're run by the people, we elect people. It's like, no, that's what they want you to think. That's what we're believed to think. But no, man, they decide how much your coffee price is and shit like that. They decide how much gas. Yeah, man.
Dude, there's so many like multinational corporations out there that have umbrella companies.
Oh yeah,
dude,
like Greenpeace. Greenpeace is
dude,
owned by large corps. They give like extremely generous donations of like $250,000. Just leave our name out of it. Don't come after us, Greenpeace. Literally buying people out, man, in global organizations.
And these organizations they own everything, whether it's craft. Anything craft made, to the makeup that you put on your face, to the tires that is running in your vehicle.
The
literally
that we wear on fucking shit.
Everything. There's only like 2, 3, maybe 4 companies that literally run the entire consumer world out there. All these big companies, Kanye always, he likes this. I think he likes the conspiracy. He's always mentioning about
it. He mentions it, but he's like himself.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
This guy thinks, he's always referencing to Da Vinci or Disney. And these guys, these guys were back in the day, man. They were considered to be almost a different level type of person.
You know how fucked up it is, man? They start putting that shit of like the ideal look of what you're supposed to look like and how your hair's supposed to be and the way you're supposed to behave with men and boys and like your Prince Charming and all that shit instilled, man, in the seedling stage.
For sure.
Of course the society's gonna be fucked up, man. The brainwashing begins at early stages of life, man.
See, then that's the thing. That's what's up with corporations.
And then you have like eating disorders and shit. Girls thinking they're fat and they're like fucking bones. I'm fucked. Mind is completely distorted. Completely distorted.
And
with all these messages, man, and the fucking cartoons.
It all starts like that, man.
It's crazy.
Well, that's why I think now Disney's trying to promote like the strong, independent, princess. Hence why they've started releasing stuff like Frozen, where, the prince doesn't necessarily save the princesses. Or now they have one that's coming out about, these multiracial princesses now.
How about tapping into the homosexuality thing? You think that'll happen?
Oh,
man. If there's a market for it, they could do it, man.
Look, here's one thing I'll say about Disney, about conspiracies and corporations and Disney in general. If you look and dissect really closely, you'll see subliminal messages that kind of allude to, how we should think, how we should feel, how you should look or whatever. That could be portrayed as negative because it makes you think like, oh, I'm not. It blows your self-esteem, and there's also, again, mass marketing and manipulation involved in anything you do, whether it's Disney or a corporation that just promotes to the masses, especially like kids, at whatever age. There's always going to be that, whether it's a Disney or whatnot. I think the best thing that we can do as a society is that while those negative images are there for us to be like, for them to manipulate us, you got to understand that there's also positive messages in Disney, and that's how they that's the thing, that's how they masquerade it, that's how they mix it into the pot to be like, no, this is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, so
right?
it's
That's
socially acceptable.
Yeah, that's their cover-up story. So we as society, like, they're gonna bombard us with like, all right, we gotta fucking, we're gonna make you think how we want it. We're gonna blow sex images so we corrupt you, whatever. We gotta teach ourselves, as well as our kids that watch this shit, to not necessarily ignore, because you can't say ignore subliminal messages. They're subliminal for a reason. But you got to learn to be media smart. You got to teach them. You got to expose them to that shit early, and be like, take the good stuff out of Disney. Take in the good information that they, and the positive message that they do portray, and then you should be fine. Because no matter what they say, whether they put in 666s or fucking devil worship images in anything that whether it's a cartoon or not, you got to look at it like, yeah, well, fuck all that. Because they're trying to mix in positive anyways. Just take the positive, and in that way, everybody wins. You get entertained out of it, and you make them lose by like not giving in to what they're trying to make you give into.
Or you could even go more extremist and pretty much just boycott Disney and don't ever show your kid that shit, so Disney never makes a fucking buck off you.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like I was saying earlier, like, say what you want and conspire what you want. Like, Lion King is one of the most it's one of my top, like, not just animation Disney movies of all. This is one of I'd say my favorite movie of all time. I'm just gonna say it's my favorite movie of all time, because it's a story. Even if they have sex subliminally put into the dust, or no, it's SFX. It's our sound effects company, whatever. No matter what they put in that shit, I take it in as a story of a guy who runs away from his responsibility and comes back to face it, to redeem himself and redeem his people. That's what I get out of it. Yeah, even if they have whatever, like these Hitler images of, like, doing the Imperial March with the fucking
I saw that. Yeah.
It's like,
I read that.
Yeah, that's there, but you're supposed to believe anyways, as good moral people, to be like, that's evil and that's good. So as long as you're able to distinguish the two,
right,
that should be fine. It doesn't matter what they bombard you with.
Yeah,
because you can't tell this. You can't protest at Disney. Hey, we're calling you out. We see, because they're gonna put it out anyways in some way, shape, or form, and be like, no, that's not there. That's you guys.
Of course,
and
they have the money to back themselves up.
Yeah, that's
and
you guys being
lawyers,
crazy, making up things on the internet and shit like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's made up, just be like, you know what? Well, fuck all that noise. Then this is how we're gonna think and feel. We're gonna be positive from what you show us, and we're gonna think positive, and that's the note you should end on.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, man. That we're talking about Disney, man. They're profiting from all those good vibes and stuff. Imagine the corporations that instill fear into the public so you can buy their products.
Yeah, I mean, that's the flip side of the coin,
like,
too. Yeah.
Hey, man, if you take this drug or whatever, remember? Did you guys hear about that guy who founded a medicine and he jacked up the prices 5,000%? He just got arrested by the FBI today. He jacked up a pharmaceutical drug.
Yeah, I heard about that.
5,000%.
He had like some type of, I wouldn't say cure for a disease, but he had
something that definitely would
would cause drastic changes in your system for the positive. Anyways, but superficially, so it was like a physical thing or something.
Yeah. Wasn't it? It's not the Hep C, right? It's not
I don't know. Anyways, and because he was the only guy that had it, he pretty much just inflated it by what, 5,000?
5,000%. It's like, if you want this,
you're gonna pay, man.
You gotta pay a pretty penny, But that's just, multi corporations, man.
That's something I wanted to bring up. We got to get into. All right, so this presidential election coming up, right? Like, you talk about corporations and you talk about, like,
it's America.
Yeah, meritocracy and whatnot.
It's America.
Being as how we have this billionaire who basically is corporate in the candidacy of the presidency. Say he gets elected, which we all hope he doesn't.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Anybody? A lot of people didn't want Bush to get elected, and he came
exactly
through.
Right.
All right.
Let's hypothetically not predict, but assume what you think it's going to be like under his administration.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past America. It's totally possible. Totally possible.
So what do you think? Like, if he got elected office, what do you think you're going to see? You think we're going to see more wars? Do you think we're actually going to fucking?
Yeah, man. It could literally be
a civil war.
End of like a peaceful, sovereign time, so to speak. I mean, yeah, there's disruption all over the earth, man. as far as like wars, civil wars, that shit's constantly occurring. But globally, it's kind of like, yeah, that's happening over there. Things are good here. I think this guy could bring trouble home. You know what I mean?
He,
The northern hemisphere.
yeah,
Shit's pretty good up here, man, compared to the rest of the world.
It is.
You
I
know,
mean, I'm
like,
proud to be.
We should be grateful that we have the, you know, I guess the luck and the fortune of being somewhere where, you know, you don't really to a certain extent have to worry about your life on a daily basis, man. And those are struggles that other people around the world go through every day.
But-
like, you go to sleep and you don't know if they're gonna drop a bomb on your house,
yeah,
man.
that's real.
Well,
That's fucked.
that being said, though, I mean, yeah, we're relatively safe in that sense, being here in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. I felt that.
BC, man.
But regardless, I mean, the shit that happens down below us affects us essentially. Because even though our economy is great, like, you know, things that we do on a regular basis, I mean, we can afford to do it, even though we're one of the most expensive places to live with the lowest minimum wage. We can afford to do the things that we want to do. But that being said, like, when the American economy goes down, whether it's because of a presidency or whatnot, or just people running the show that break the stock market or whatever, it still affects us in terms of our economy and our way of life. So if this guy gets elected, like, what changes do you guys think we're gonna see in Canada? Like, do you think we're gonna adopt we've already brought in 30,000 Syrians or whatever it is in Canada alone? Do you think under the Trump administration that we would lose that?
No.
You know,
Because Trump has no jurisdiction in Canada.
no, it's not that he has a jurisdiction,
but he
it's-
has a say. No.
It's a matter of like our politicians following suit, like, oh, this guy's doing
Trudeau is sort of, he's this hip guy, man. He's this
So we
hip
think.
guy. I don't see him selling out to a huge Trump-like person.
You know why? Because it's one of those funny things, because Trudeau kind of has to live up to his father's legacy,
Yeah,
man.
man. And his
That's
dad
the
did great
expectation
things, man.
set against him. And I mean, the first Trudeau, he did a lot of good things for Canada, and they're kind of big shoes to fill. So this guy's got to tread carefully, and you know, he seems someone who's kind of righteous, you know,
Yeah,
to a
righteous.
certain extent, and he shows a lot of like good faith and goodwill. Like, you know, he seems like he wants to make positive
Yeah.
changes, and from my experience anyways, and other candidates in the past that I've seen, they weren't like as people to people as this guy is. Like, I feel like to a certain extent I can somewhat relate to him,
Yeah,
because
he's like
he's
an
young.
everyman.
He appeals to a different demographic of people. So, you know, having said that, it'd be tough for him to just jump on the bandwagon as far as Trump goes, because
His ideologies,
the fact
man.
the fact alone that Trump declared a ban on Muslims is pretty much like an
going against what this
attack
guy's-
on a religion, man. And
Yeah.
you know, just based on that, I don't think Trudeau would kind of, you know, embrace with a hug and be like, yeah, I'm on your side, but you know.
Well, I'm not talking necessarily like, oh, Trump's doing it, so I got to do it. I'm saying like, whatever decision that Trump makes for the country, if he makes them, like I said, will essentially put pressure on how we run
Yes.
things here,
Yes.
right? Because if
You
he
don't
says,
think the liberals are sweating right now, man?
yeah,
They are sweating big time. Sweating big time, man.
like
They
the
cannot have this
LNG
guy.
project, for example. Like, we keep saying, no, it's not going to happen, it's bad for our economy, whatever. So if the Americans jump on it, then it's just like, oh, well, we have the oil here, so we got to fall. Like, it's like things like that
Mhm.
puts pressure on the government and the corporations to be like, okay, well, if the Americans are going to do it anyways,
we might as well.
and, yeah,
get into
and then they need our resources to kind of, you know, they need to go through our resources in order to further their agenda. And if they're going to pay us money for it, because Canada, hashtag Canada, Canada itself is going through somewhat of an economic downfall with our dollar
Yeah.
going down. That might be like, well, we may have to do this LNG thing, because, you know, I'm in the industry, right? And there's always back and forth talk saying, no, we're not going to get this contract, and everyone's saying, no, we are going to get it. But like I said, whether it's Trump or not, like, essentially those decisions that get made are the ones that are basically going to, you know, put pressure to go back on our word on saying things that on doing things that we said we're gonna do and not gonna do. So
Well, I think only time will tell, really, because we have great hopes for Justin if he really does live up to the hype, and it'd be interesting to see what he does. And to be honest, I haven't really been following the U.S. candidacy as much as I'd like. The only person I know there is really Donald Trump, because he's a lunatic, and he's almost like a buffoon, kind of making a joke of America a little bit here. But the messed up thing is there are millions, I'd say millions of people who agree with Donald Trump. Did you guys hear when he said, I call for a ban on Muslims? And then the scattered claps started to come. Like, should we clap to what this guy had just said? Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, no Muslim. I'm like, whoa, time out. Time out. They're like,
I bet you look like this. They're like,
they're like
clapping.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some. Okay. Oh,
Who's the first one to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Like, it's literally the slow clap effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Slow
When it
clap
comes-
that gains momentum. It's like, yeah.
Crazy,
I
man.
think Trudeau's smart, and he'll figure out if he wants to increase, the monetary, budgets of Canada and whatnot. He'll find ways around it, and the big talk is that whole marijuana thing. They're projecting in the next few years that him and his party might, okay it.
Legalize.
He might okay it. And if you look at data in the states that have, regulated or who have, made marijuana legal, like in Washington State, Alaska, Colorado, whichever, or, yes, I could say that I'm sure there's bad things. There's bad things everywhere, but for the most part, it's been, positive data, which is increased number in revenue per whatever person, or increased number of, money that's getting, provided to the states are increasing. Of course, how many people smoke that stuff? Probably quite a bit. And crime rate for those states have also started to level out a little bit. And if that works for certain states, imagine that for an entire country where we don't have issues with, all that stuff. Now we just have natural resource of just growing. Of course, probably taxed to the max, but, it's helping pay for paved roads and education. Or you want new books for school?
Speaking of paying for things and infrastructure, did you guys hear about the George Massey Tunnel?
I somewhat heard of it, but I mostly heard you chime in on that, so I'll speak on that shit.
For the locals, the George Massey Tunnel is pretty much going to be closed down in 2022, I think, or 2021.
And by locals, he means Vancity. What up?
Vancity.
What up, Vancity? Hashtag
Vancouver.
So yeah, they're gonna get rid of the current tunnel they have, which is pretty much 2 lanes, and they're gonna put a bridge linking Delta and Richmond instead. That will be tolled, okay? On top of the price tag of $3.5 billion.
$3 billion. I mean, is that normal to have $3 billion for a fucking bridge? Did we always build bridges for $3 billion?
Well,
Probably not, man.
How much was that Port Man?
It was up there, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was like
okay.
a few $billion too, right?
Yeah, man.
That's because the bridge technology these days, boys, it's off the charts. Especially now that you live in Vancouver, where everything needs to be at now earthquake proof. The old
$2.46 billion for
woo, $2.46 billion for a bridge.
This bridge is gonna be 10 lanes.
10 lanes.
10 lanes wide.
Why? That's
Okay, that
Well,
makes
you know
sense.
what?
It's a big mother of a bridge.
You know what though? The Massey Tunnel does suck. Let's face it.
It does.
If there's an accident inside there, everybody's stuck for about 2.5 hours.
Here's my beef with the whole scenario. You're absolutely right. Congestion and traffic suck.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the end of the day, we all pay taxes. We're taxpayers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of the tax paying that we already do, we pay taxes on fuel. We pay fines that for anything, speeding, parking tickets.
We pay taxes just for living in van.
Yeah.
Because like everything is so much higher cost of living wise that it's a tax to just be like, our city's so beautiful. We're on the coast-ish.
You're getting
we got
taxed
this and
as you
that.
breathe.
Exactly.
So
Oh,
to add
dang.
another tax of like, okay, well, to drive this one road that, maybe 30% people take in general, that live in the greater mainland, we're gonna tax 100% of the people in the fucking city. It's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't even
exactly.
use this bridge, man.
Exactly. And it's not only that, man. Like, there's money everywhere. I looked into it. At the end of the day, the people that are in charge of this development is the Transportation Investment Corp. Okay? And that's pretty much the Crown Corporation, and Trio is the operating brand, the ones that send you the bills home and shit. These guys are planning on tolling the bridge. At the end of the day, as we're already paying taxes for these kind of things. The federal government and provincial government have funds specifically designated for infrastructure and the maintenance of roads and et cetera, et cetera. We pay registration on our cars, man, licensing fees, all sorts of shit. Money is like coming out of the pockets. And then they tell us that I have to pay to go to work now. It doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? Like, most people will be working now an hour of the day for free, essentially, just to pay for your commute.
Yeah.
Well, I heard talks early on that the fact that they want to toll, they basically want to add as much bridges as they can, and even when they're stopped, they want everything to be tolled. Anything that gets you across over water.
Well, that's the thing. Once the first toll bridge came in, what people are doing is avoiding those toll bridges. Why? Because nobody wants to pay. So now what do you have? Congestion over at the Patulo Bridge. Congestion everywhere else other than those bridges. Problem is, nobody's going over the bridge. Nobody's paying for the motherfucker.
Yeah.
So they just force it on you.
They're
Basically,
forcing it on us.
You're not
Ned
going to
George
pay for our
Massey.
bridge. We're just going to charge you anyways, even if you don't take it.
And we're going to replace all your non-charge bridges with fucking toll bridges.
Yeah.
And then you won't have a choice. And everyone will be paying.
That's fuck, like, you're right, man. Like,
Like how
More
much
action needs to-
more?
yeah.
It's crazy, like how much more can they take? And the living standards in British Columbia and Vancouver are extremely high already, man.
Yeah, man.
And we have what did we saying earlier? We have the lowest minimum wage.
One of the lowest minimum wage in our provincial minimum
It's
wage.
brutal,
in Canada.
man. Like you just
And the
working.
highest cost of living.
You're just working. That's it, man. Like people that can't get like decent paying jobs, they got to work 2 minimum wage jobs.
Yeah.
Like at what point is that like living your life? You're gonna forget to do the fun shit, man. Like, what are you gonna do? Just slave away? That's crazy,
No,
man.
even if I want to do the fun shit, I can't, man.
It costs money. 'Cause if I
I'm
want to go
broke,
see
bro.
Jonas at
Yeah.
New Westminster, I gotta pay a toll.
Yeah.
Just to
It's
fucking
like,
kick
no,
it with
man,
them
we'll
and
just
shit.
meet at Metrotown.
Yo, we'll just Skype each other and shit, man. Like,
FaceTime, son. And some people still take boats from places to places.
it's true.
Yeah. Not in the not Delta to Richmond for long, man. We're gonna have bridges there too, but it's a trip though. What's happening? Because I work with kids, dude, and working with kids are tough. They just no matter what. But I love Wednesdays because on Wednesdays it's called Free Play Wednesday, and guess what? These children bring from home every Wednesday. iPads. It is literally the only day of the week where these kids are like dead quiet because they're all just
Yeah.
like
Hooked. Hooked.
Yo, they're
Man.
just
They're hooked.
they're just elbowing. It's like I'm like, I don't have to shout. I don't have to anything because these guys are already at a young. When I was
My
8 years
buddy's
old.
kid knew how to use their iPhone better than me, man.
Yes.
How crazy is that, man?
When we
They're
were
just
children,
way ahead.
we
They're
had
fucking closing,
Tamagotchi.
searching stuff. I'm like, how is your
remember those
brain?
days of little digital fucking-
We had Tamagotchi. That was hard enough,
virtual
man.
pet, man.
It's
The
like-
Tamagotchi.
It'll
Mine used to die all the time.
like,
Yeah, man. You come home from school, oh shit, my Tamagotchi's dead.
Restart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what we played with, and these kids now have. Oh man, just the wealth of information is open to these children, and they do not even know because they're too busy playing with Minecraft and games and all that stuff. But
Yo, Joe,
It's gonna
that's
be
a,
crazy, yeah.
that's a really good point because I remember just a few months ago when I was when I was working in Alberta, just the vast change of where the iPad and things like that have taken us.
Yeah.
Because I've worked different jobs and just been in different settings, whether it's a job, school, on the bus, whatever. And the most mundane, normal thing to see is like somebody reading a newspaper or a group of people reading a newspaper on their break time or sitting on the bus or sitting out in the park. And I remember being at work and we're a crew of 15 in the lunchroom. And normally you'd see like, the young guys talking to each other and like a few guys eating. You see an assortment of different, interactions,
Characters.
right? And like the older fellas reading newspapers. I remember one day just looking up and all of us that age range from like 60 to like 20, whatever, 20 to 60, we're all on our phones, just like every single one. Like, you know what I mean? Like statistically saying, like, if that was pre-technology, like I said, there's different interactions, whether it's, like I said, a newspaper, chit-chatting, eating, whatever. 100% of the crew was like, and you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like,
On that note, the cell phone, man, revolutionary.
It's
The smartphone changed the game.
100%.
Smartphone. is-
Huge quantum leap,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Everybody
Apple
is
really did.
fucking plugged in.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're missing out. You fall
And
behind,
you're
man.
scrutinized. You're like, what? You don't have an iPhone
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
don't have a Samsung Galaxy? You're just
Well, now it's getting harder and harder to find regular phones, man. It's now, there's cheap versions of this that you can get for $0, man.
When I watched Fruitvale Station a couple years ago, because it's based on a true story and it's like it takes place in 2009. The guy's constantly using his flip phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And it made me want to be like, I want to go back to a flip phone and text people like that.
No,
You know what I mean? Like,
no.
You think that'll be a thing though, where they like do like a retro thing
No.
and bring back like a Motorola Razr? Just
I want the Zach Morris phone.
Dog.
I want to phone this fucking big, and I want to be like, yo, Slater, let's go meet at the.
I'll tell you
know what I
why
mean? Like,
that will never happen.
I'm just saying I want one because that's like the most
it'd be,
badass.
it'd be like the most hipster thing to do. It's like, guys, I need to make a phone call. That's what real hipsters do in Main Street. It's like,
Oh my
yo,
God.
with
No,
their-
I want that.
with their
man.
hipster
We need
jeans
to
and,
fucking bring that.
beard. No offense to beards are dope, but dudes who look like they're about to go chop wood, but really, But yeah, no,
that's a flannel shirt reference, guys.
it will never work because it's the life these days. It's all about how convenient things should be. Everything needs to be now. It's a now thing.
yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for tick tick 2 2 4 4 6 6 6 7. Nobody
slaves,
has time,
bro.
for that.
We're slaves.
We
man.
are-
slaves
we-
to the game.
It's literally become a reflex.
Yeah.
Like if
This-
you're bored at the club and you're like, "I'm
This
not dance
is
with anybody."
the best invention
Yeah.
because
Dude,
it is
it's retarded.
it is
You do your banking, everything, shopping,
everything.
game
Porn.
changer,
And-
man.
and
Game changer.
what's-
Whatever you want at your fingertips.
What's scary is that we have all this load of information about our personal lives. That's just up there, man.
circulating,
It's
man.
literally, I'm not even joking, up there. Do you guys know who was responsible for the one of the major corporations or entities who funded the creation of these interwebs?
I'm gonna say not Steve Jobs.
I'll look it up here. It is, because it's DARPA. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of DARPA, but it is
Is that a person?
No, DARPA is the.
Oh, it's a corporation.
Yeah, it is the. Let me just load Google.
Let
me just ask Google real quick.
Let me just ask the smartest thing on the face of
Let me just
fucking
ask
universe.
Google. That's a plug right there.
Hold on, let me bring this up real
Okay.
quick. Hold on, let me bring this up really
Yeah.
quick, really quickly. So we're talking about like, fucking smartphones, this and that, and technology, and then we're like, we have to look up with
No.
technology.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Learn this
That's
information.
exactly it. That's exactly it.
Well,
Let
what's the other alternative, man?
There
Go
is-
blow the dust off the encyclopedia
Yeah.
and start flipping through fucking pages.
It's like,
years
this is
of
outdated,
history.
man.
We should change our podcast to that. Like all our information is
Yeah,
encyclopedia
and it's like,
based.
bring out chapter. Yeah.
We have a
7th edition,
librarian.
volume 12.
Okay.
We have Larry the librarian. Hey Larry, get us exactly chapter 12,
Yeah.
section 4, and then he brings it up. All right, guys. So did you know that?
That'd be hilarious.
Okay, but
DARPA. Okay, go back
I
to that.
digress. DARPA is Defense Advanced
Yeah.
Research Projects what's the A stand for? Agency.
Agency. Defense Advanced Research
Yo,
Project.
this is it.
It even
This-
sounds shady,
Doug,
man.
Doug, this is
What?
their website. This is their website.
Red flag.
www.darpa.mil. Military. United States military. If you look at future projects of DARPA, they are coming out with some next level shit.
Wow.
Military shit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, boys, it's whose stick is bigger, who can swing that dick the hardest. And I'll tell you,
Jesus
I will
Christ.
tell you who can. The United States of America. Who owns Google? Americans.
Some Asians too.
Who owns Apple? Americans.
Made in China.
Made in China, of course. They are outsourcing for cheap, of course.
Yeah, man.
This is how economy
And here's
works.
the thing, and if the U.S. doesn't own it, it's just a matter of time before they do, man.
Hey, the funny thing
by
is
any means necessary.
these conglomerate oil companies, United States.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the day,
It's scary, bro. It's scary.
and
It's
we
very
have to
scary.
trace back from way back in the American days, man. America is such a deceptive government, man. It is a government shrouded in conspiracy theories.
Yeah, man.
These guys have ex-presidents, bro. They've murked their own for public interest or for other interest of other. John F. Kennedy wanted to do. There was a space race back then. Him and the president of Russia. This was months before he got killed. Came to an agreement saying that they should join resources to
go
explore
to the
space. This is a proven fact. What happens to John F. Kennedy? Gets shot.
Assassinated.
Assassinated.
Almost like he wanted to stop
Public.
the Vietnam War.
Oh, and that too. But now, okay, because Vietnam War was probably on its teetering end. It was gonna end. But they were
The next big
projecting
thing,
was the Russian
next thing
space.
that was going to generate
It was space.
huge waves was space exploration.
It was the space race. It's, you know what? And I don't know, man. And I'm just saying.
The war was the arms race, and
this
was
is
the
it.
next
And
thing.
America, remember, these guys are the guys who have assassinated presidents. These guys are the ones who tell the public literally, well, this is for, whatever, 9/11, terrorists, insurgents.
And that for me, man, hits close to home, man, because I'm a first generation Canadian Chilean. Both my parents
Yeah.
are Chilean.
Yeah.
And they came here due to a coup d'etat
Oh,
in which the president of Chile at the time, who was democratically elected by its people, was assassinated by his own military, who were
back.
funded and backed by the CIA.
What did the CIA want in Chile?
They were afraid of the socialist government that was democratically elected at the time. And in the 70s and 80s, there was a really strong left-wing uprising as far as governments go.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, the poor people and the middle class got fed up of shit, and they kind of started catching on to a wave of left-wing ideals and socialism as far as steering their country in these political directions. The CIA and the US didn't like that shit in their backyard. So what did they do? Pretty much started murking people left and right.
And this was in the 70s, yeah?
In the 70s. 73 was the coup d'etat, and that's when Allende was killed. And then they instated the top general of the military, Augusto Pinochet, into power. It's like, okay, we did the dirty work. Now you're in power and you're going to listen to us,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
They put their guy in, pretty
America.
much. And anybody that was politically affiliated with anything that had to do with left-wing ideals or anything, missing, man. Missing. There are hundreds of thousands of people missing in Chile, buried in the desert, man. There were concentration camps everywhere in the 70s. It's crazy, man.
I mean, it is basically gonna come down to that, and Civil War, like the Marvel, and like all the other stuff that we mentioned today, man. That's how it is.
This is the funny thing that I want to bring up though. Is like, you look at it, you look at Marvel like, oh, it's just another superhero movie, and we're all gonna watch it, and it's based on comics and yada yada yada. But you gotta understand, like, I'm surprised with all these conspiracies going on. Like usually when a mainstream movie wants to tell a story, it's a watered down version. It's a downplayed version of it, and they generally try to steer away from the real issue that they're trying to, that can basically reveal the reality of it. Like for example, the assassination of JFK. They made a movie on it. Like back then, they would basically stick to the story of like Lee Harvey Oswald shot him, and you know, but nowadays, I'm surprised that Disney, you know, because we touch on it being like a conspiracy organization who owns Marvel and is coming out with this story, Civil War, which basically touches on the fact that like the government is trying to implement not factions, but like this is what you got to do. Like you got to register. If you're superhuman, you have to register and you got to operate under our jurisdiction, right? And that's, to the average person, that just sounds like a generic comic book plot, but that mirrors on what actually happens in society today, because they say, you know, because you think of that as, okay, that's superhumans, but that's the same thing that they're doing now. Like you have to, if you're a foreign person, you have to register. If you are a certain type of person, if you're gay or whatever, you have to register that you're gay. Or if this is what your political beliefs are, you have to register that. Like they're basically slowly implementing that, and for them to articulate it in movie form to the masses, you know, because usually they'll do that as an indie flick or something that doesn't get, you know, showed in wide release. But for them to do it with a $1 billion franchise like Marvel is like, what does that tell you? Does that mean they're exposing themselves, or the director's secretly doing it and just like, okay, well, I'm gonna make these guys money anyways, but I'm gonna tell a story that basically exposes those bigger plans?
I think you're absolutely right, man. But I think the underlying purpose of these things, because honestly, I'd like to say that, yeah, you know, maybe there are some big organizations and big corporations that are trying to do good and instill positive messages. But at the same time, I think that they're doing it as a process of conditioning. So by releasing the general idea, like you picked up on the stuff, you know, the behind the scenes, the other ideas, the innuendos, the things that are hidden, I think they do that so that you grow a certain expectation, so you're familiar with the possibility of things turning out like this, so that when they do, that factor of shock is gone, so you don't initially act on those impulses and be in a complete outrage. You know what I mean? Kind of like the George Massey tunnel thing, going back to that, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, we're feeding these people information, this is what it's going to cost, etc., etc. We're going to fucking do it anyways. Doesn't matter whether you want it to happen or not. We're just getting you used to the idea of it happening, so when we do go ahead with a plan, you're like, oh, well,
not a big shock, like, oh yeah,
you know. And that's I think that's what happens with these movies, and that's what they generally try and do, subliminally kind of inform you, and so that when things do go down, you're kind of like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you guys, going back to the movie, what do you think is gonna make more money, like opening weekend and overall? Civil War or Batman v Superman?
Civil War.
Civil War. I'm gonna say Civil War too. What do you think?
Civil War for sure.
Okay, so we all agree. Okay, so if we had to guess, like, keep in mind, Avengers opening weekend, the first one made $200 million, right? This is a Captain America movie, but basically with the Avengers in it. And you have Batman v Superman fighting for being on screen in movie presence for the first time. So despite what our opinion is on what's going to be better, what's going to make more money, right? What box office predictions do you think? Like how much money opening weekend Batman v Superman is going to be versus Captain America Civil War?
That's tough, man. That's tough. Put a number on it.
I'm going to call it out right now and say Civil War will make 180 opening and Batman v Superman will be 170. It'll be neck and neck.
Dang.
Wow.
Man, those are huge numbers, man.
You think that they have that kind of following, eh? Damn.
This is opening weekend?
Opening weekend. That's just like their production is like 200 million. They make it back in one weekend.
Yeah. No. One weekend.
I'm calling it out. This is all going to be on footage. I'm going to say 170 for Batman v Superman.
Okay, who has the record for the highest opening weekend?
It's the Avengers, 200 million.
200 million. Oh, man.
200 million, damn.
And Star Wars, like, just fucking. It's what I mean. It's opening
I'm pretty sure it will
to the masses in 2 hours, on our side.
It's already
That's
sold
probably gonna
out
be
for the next 3 days.
I'm gonna call it out right now because I watched early reviews on Force Awakens. Nothing spoiled or whatever because I want to go in. I'm gonna have to watch it in the Philippines, but I'm gonna watch it with no information and kind of an open mind. But it's Star Wars. It's an event. It's not just like, oh, the next movie's coming out.
Yeah, man.
It's an event.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Especially
It's been on the news for 5 days straight.
I'm calling it right now. I think opening weekend, Star Wars will be 240 million opening weekend. Because it's already pre-sold. It's sold out.
240. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
Man.
240
It's
opening
possible,
weekend.
man. It's
Domestic
possible.
is gonna grow close to 600.
It's
600 plus.
Oh my god, and that doesn't even include like action figures, costumes, any type of shit. This is strictly cinematic.
Yeah, cinematic tickets. Watching out of
I'm calling
ticket
right now.
revenue.
We gotta
And
Skype.
who
Yo, did you
owns
activate
it?
your Skype yet? Because I'm gonna rub it in your guys' face if I'm
Disney.
right.
Just
Fucking
goes
Disney strikes again, man. Walt Disney.
Disney.
Woo!
Oh, and speaking of, okay, I got my fucking Deadpool shirt. I think Deadpool is gonna gross. Well, people aren't gonna like it. I don't know what it's gonna gross opening weekend, or I don't know what money it's gonna make, but I think personally it's gonna suck.
I think
I have
it's-
no faith in Ryan Reynolds whatsoever.
I do.
Oh, the local boy. He's gonna let us down.
Nope.
Damn.
I got faith because he was a fan. He's a fan of Deadpool.
It doesn't matter. George Lucas is a fan of George Lucas, and he fucked us over with the prequels.
No. But he had no say with X-Men Fox and.
Oh, he has say in terms of like how he behaves and how he portrays a character. Because they just say, "Hey, Ryan, you're a funny guy. You have abs. People like you. Do your thing, and we will make you some money." Because Deadpool is a brand.
Well, the thing is, what are you gonna say to the director or the writers of the movie? I can't. They sewed his mouth shut. That's not his fault. That's in the script.
I'm not saying that was his fault. I'm not touching on that.
Yeah.
I'm saying when he does open his mouth, not Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, he's not funny. I personally think that's my subjective opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's a funny
Will
guy.
Ryan Reynolds' face be shown in the movie?
Yes, they already did show it in the trailer.
But
Did that
But
ruin
he's
it?
disfigured and everything.
Heavy
But like,
makeup and.
people for some reason people think he's a funny guy, and I just don't.
Well, he has that sarcastic, like a sarcastic thing to him. you know?
We'll have to see it to see if he pulls it off.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm
your
calling
feeling
it right
is
now. It's gonna
no.
suck.
Yeah.
I think the true fans, like I think people that don't know Deadpool and just jump on Marvel bandwagons, whether it's X-Men or Avengers, whatever, are gonna say, yeah, it was great. They got him right because he's a merc with the mouth and he said some cocky stuff, and that's what Deadpool is. You don't know shit about Deadpool. You didn't read the fucking comics. You don't know what a live action Deadpool is in comparison of a comic. You just think that just because Ryan Reynolds is gonna make some quips.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
that defies
that
Deadpool.
particular fan base. Yeah.
Oh no.
it's gonna
But the
attract-
thing is, the reason why this movie was made was because of the fans. There was leaked.
this
there
is
was a
true.
leak. There was a
This is
leaked
true.
trailer. Not even trailer. It was like a vision video of these guys. 2011.
The demo reel.
Yeah, demo
I
reel
saw it.
and CGI, and all of a sudden, Deadpool fans are like, "Oh my gosh, this is what it should have been." You know, start making this movie, and all of a sudden, now it has this huge traction.
Yeah,
because
but that
of
was
the fans, man.
that was the fact that they portrayed it so badly in Origins.
Oh, yeah, that it
just
can-
because somebody animated this
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it looks cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you put Ryan Reynolds dub stupid jokes over it. Then you think, oh, that's so much better. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's better doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah,
His first appearance ruined everything.
Like, come on,
the,
man,
The
like-
first time he played Deadpool.
Who do we play? Who do we pin that on?
Fox.
Fox.
Fox
Fox,
does
for
not
sure.
know what they're doing.
They
They should give
Deadpool.
back
They
all
ruined.
the franchises, man. They should give back.
They're not gonna give up X-Men. They've already rebounded decently,
Yeah, with-
critically
yeah.
and financially. That they're gonna be like, we don't need to give you back to the
Well,
Avengers.
what I like is what, I
X-Men.
like how Sony let go. Kind of gave Disney a little bit of leeway with Spider-Man because Spidey's supposed to be in the Civil War action.
Yeah.
So
And
that's-
I'm glad they did that.
No, that'd
and
be
shit.
chill,
I
right?
hated the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
with,
I
what's
flat
the-
out hated it.
Poorly done.
Yeah,
Poorly.
that's
But Suicide Squad, that looks interesting. I mean,
Jared
I'm
Leto.
definite- I want to see. I'm calling it right now. I don't think he's going to be as good as Heath Ledger, but I'm interested in seeing the portrayal.
This one is
Yeah,
more of the graphic.
Jared
novel.
Leto is a great actor.
Yeah.
He's good. He's always been
good, man. He's good. I'm definitely looking forward.
I
to
like
seeing
his
that role.
portrayal of Joker being like the flashy, I don't know if you guys, well, you saw the trailer, but he's rocking the flashy purple suit and he's got like
Tats.
the
Harley
hella
Quinn,
crazy
Margot
tats.
Robbie, Harley
It's so dope. It looks dope, man.
Yeah,
they
it
did.
looks
They
sick,
dressed it up
man.
real
He
nice.
looks like
real
a psycho, driving like this crazy like Lambo like fast car. Who knows? And I don't know. The thing is, I don't know how Will Smith is gonna do with as Deadshot, man.
Deadshot. Yeah. Well, you know what puzzles me is that the reason why he's not in Independence Day 2 is because he's apparently asking for too much money. You know,
Really?
but then he goes in Suicide Squad, and that's an ensemble, so you can't get your standard $20 million Will Smith fee.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you do an ensemble and not take fucking Independence Day? Because I'm sure they'll still give you like 10 million. But
Independence
he
Day
wanted like 20 or
resurgence.
30. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
Looking
how
good.
greedy are you? You need to rebound from After Earth. You shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You're not in a place to be like, I want more money. Like, look at your movies.
Yeah. Concussion.
Recently.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
god, that doesn't
like
even look
Fresh
appealing.
Prince,
I
get
can't
back
get
to
over
the-
the accent.
Concussion. Well, it's based on a true story.
Jeez,
And
it
if you
looks.
think about it,
Like, one of the best.
concussions ain't no joke. You know?
One of the best lines in Independence Day, the first one, it's like, something to say, Hiller? Nah, sir, just anxious to whoop E.T.'s ass. Like, little clips like that, man. Like, I need to see that in an Independence Day, because I'm not expecting it to be fucking, Shakespeare.
Well, I like the way they changed it up, though. They did a little bit of reverse engineering on the alien
No, that's-
technology.
That's
and,
dope.
and
That's
now
cool.
you get freaking alien invasions.
Yeah, now we're on like equal fighting terms.
Hey,
Let's
you know
do
what
this.
though, guys? That's how they did it back in the day. That's how we got this, man. It's reverse engineering, man. From, you think
Yeah.
those UFOs that
This
crashed?
this MacBook is the newer version of the MacBook that Jeff Goldblum used to bring down. 'Cause
Bro,
he had a Macintosh.
first of all,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
He
you take,
uses Macintosh to bring down an alien mothership, and now we have the Air. So if anything, if those aliens come back, I'll give Will Smith my Air and be like, yo, or Jeff Goldblum, yo, take Deadshot with you, fucking. Take our reverse engineer planes, shut them down, make sure they're not using Norton antivirus,
Yeah.
and take down their
Norton
shields, and we'll fucking nuke them, and then boom. That's what I want to see in an Independence Day film. Like, I want Marvel to be dope. Independence Day.
I want to
it
see
be
the White House
cheesy.
blow up again, man. That was sick.
Dude, I want to see Barack blow up and be like, oh shit, that shit's whack, dog. Like, and just be like, dude.
Nuts.
movies, man.
X-Men Apocalypse. Did you guys catch that? Oh,
Dude, we're running out of time,
yeah.
but fuck, dude, hey, it's the last show of the year. We're running overtime. Fuck it, we haven't even
It's all
touched.
good.
Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. He's a great actor.
Who's that
He's
guy
already
again?
he's already a fan favorite for Force Awakens. Like, he's in Force Awakens. He's the guy that owns. Have you seen Ex Machina?
Yeah.
He's the guy that runs the thing. That's Oscar Isaac.
Great actor.
Yeah, he's really
great
good.
actor.
good guy.
There was all this hoopla of like, oh, he looks like Apocalypse looks weird. He doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
who gives a
movie.
shit,
It's a
man?
You know
movie
what?
version
I think
of
they
the book.
nailed it with that guy, man.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I said this to Danny before. I'm like, you know what? Look at the way Days of Future Past ended. Everything's it takes place at the very end. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Days of Future Past. What the fuck you waiting for? You see the ending where everything's nice and like Jean's alive, Cyclops is alive.
Yeah, the alternate future.
The alternate future. Everything's
Yeah.
Comic
Okay,
book style, man.
so if Apocalypse comes and he's tearing shit up in the 80s because that's where it's set,
Yeah.
like, what are the stakes if you already know that in 2020 that everything's gonna be all
peachy clean.
all peachy clean and shit like
Well,
that?
if this thing is happening in the 80s, is this movie after the fact of Days of Future Past?
Yeah, this takes place. They've obviously altered the timeline because they did it intentionally to, fix what happened. In
Maybe
X-Men
they'll
3
set it
and all
up
the
for
back.
like another X-Men movie with
Well, here's
Wolverine.
Here's what I said to Danny like before about like, okay, we already know how Days of Future Past ends and that takes place in the future, and you have Apocalypse who's like basically the badass villain of the X-Men universe, and you're building it up to be like, okay, he's gonna fuck shit up. But if you already know that in whatever years in the
2020
future that
is
it's gonna
okay.
be all good, you need to make it so that since they altered the timeline already, Apocalypse, who exists in all forms of time, like he takes place in the past, the future, you need to build it up so that he's like, okay, so if that's how it's gonna end in the future, I'm gonna alter time
So that,
again,
mess
so
them
that
up.
the ending in Days of Future Past also gets nullified, and then you can make more stories. Because
Right.
everything that comes in between is gonna be like, okay, everything's gonna be a happy ending because Scott's alive, everyone's alive, Rogue's in the school, and the kids are playing and playing tag in the hallways. You have to acknowledge that Apocalypse is aware that timeline is not you
So,
know,
yeah,
going
yeah,
according to whatever
his plan.
his plan is to enslave mutants
So
and
it's like
mankind
now
and
to
everything.
change that, he
To
has to
change
go
it,
back to past,
I have
fuck
to-
shit up again.
I have to be here so that basically you nullify Days of Future Past, or at least the ending of it, so that you can carry on more catastrophic.
I was
villains or
just about
whatever.
to say that because I remember like Apocalypse when he comes out in the comics, there are a lot of other villains before that, and there's no kind of lead up to the generation of the X-Men Apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like you have other guys like Sinister. That was a whole like that
I
was a
can't wait to
whole
see the
saga within itself, right?
That's the
You know
island,
what I
right?
mean? And they
Omega
totally
Red.
oh
I need to see
Omega
Omega Red. I
Red,
need to see
oh
Omega
my
Red.
God, right? It's gonna be
Dude,
so
it's the 80s.
sick.
It's the 80s, man.
Yeah.
They can. The Cold War is still existing in
Yeah,
that time.
yeah.
They should
Yeah.
fucking really bring him out on screen and shit.
So
But,
yeah,
yeah, so that's the things to look out for the 2016. You know, we're
Dope,
definitely
dope.
going to develop this show. We got Civil War, Batman v Superman, Apocalypse, Deadpool, fuck Ryan Reynolds, Suicide Squad, and Independence Day 2.
Yeah, looking
And
forward to
fuck, I
that,
could
man.
talk this shit for hours. Maybe we'll keep some bonus footage or whatever. but
Movies, man.
we'll see.
know what?
We'll see in the clips.
Yo,
We're running out
unfortunately,
of
we're running
time.
out of time. Yeah,
Oh,
we're way over time.
Dang.
There's only one thing left to do, man.
All right,
It's that
so
time again.
all right, we have a little bit of time for me to bless her because you know it's my kid and I haven't even blessed it yet. So
Get
far,
it.
our guests have done it, but at some point, Zam will bless it, and when our buddy, our good friend of the show, he's a friend of the show. Now you're basically
Friend
part
of the
this.
show, what up?
When JoJo comes back, he's gonna bless it. And thanks for holding down the fort with us. You know,
No
like-
problem,
Thank you, bro.
man. It's
Appreciate
pretty much
your
And
time.
chill,
Bond,
boys.
thanks to Bond for
Thank you, Bond.
engineering us. Keep in mind, like I've been out of practice and I'm sick, so if I suck, you know, like fuck it. I think I'm gonna break this stick when I'm done with this.
Right, ready to roll, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
GQZ, host of Vancouver. Let her roll, buddy. There it is, GQZ.
Is